this session with me. I am very excited to be sharing what I've learned over the last few years about menopause, and putting those two words together, excited and menopause, doesn't seem to fit. But I'm hoping over the next few minutes, next hour, that you are able to take away some of the things that we talk about. Now, this is generally an 8-week program. I'm going to try to condense the first 4 weeks into this next hour. So please feel free, as Heather mentioned, to ask any questions along the way. I'll just give you a little bit of background and then we'll dive right into it. My name is Teresa Carrier. I have been in the fitness and wellness industry for over 30 years. And most recently, my experience with menopause encouraged me to find out a little bit more about it. So when I was 43, I began menopause, and that seems quite young. And going through all of the effects of menopause, the hot flashes, the mood swings, the foggy memory, it really took its toll on me. And I went to see the doctor and I said, how long do I have to live like this? And he said to me, it can last up to 10, 15 years. And I'm like, what? You mean for 10 or 15 years, it is possible that this will be how my life rolls out? And I thought, there's no way. I just felt like I was stymied, like I was stuck in this dark place. You know, I was gaining weight, but nothing had changed. I still worked out. I still ate properly, but my body had taken charge of itself and I had no control over it, or at least that's what it felt like. And so I thought, there's no way that myself or my friends or my sisters who are going through menopause should have to deal with so much. And for those of you on the other side of the screen, some of what I say today may make sense. Some maybe you haven't experienced, which thank goodness. But I'm hoping, again, that some of the pieces that I pulled together today will help you through this. I don't think we deserve as women to have to deal or accept menopause as our way of life moving forward. And I'm letting you know today that help is on its way, that we do not have to settle for this. So menopause comes in all shapes and sizes. It depends on all sorts of things. So we're going to take one element at a time. All right. So over the last few years, as I mentioned, I did a lot of research. I talked to hundreds of women and I sort of gathered all this information. And then I started to experiment. I started to experiment with my exercise, my diet, my stress management, my sleep habits. And I took one of those factors every so often and just focused on one piece of that. And I started to change how I exercised. And then I began to change how I ate and so on. And I start to realize that we have some control over the symptoms that we feel through menopause. So I want to share that with you. And it gets me excited to share this with women because, as mentioned, I talk to so many women and I see how sad they are, how frustrated they are, how angry they are. And we don't have to do that. So let's figure this out together. So menopause is all about right now how we're going to take control. But first, let's talk about what menopause is. So there's different stages of menopause, and we sort of intermingle the menopause in depending on what stage we're in, and we just sort of clump it all together. But this is basically what the stages are. So perimenopause, and some of you may be here in perimenopause where you're just starting to feel some changes happening. And perimenopause is basically that time where your pattern of your periods become uncertain. You never know when you're going to get your period, how long it's going to be, how heavy it's going to be. That's perimenopause. So the body is starting to change and you start to feel some of the symptoms. You start to feel maybe a hot flash, some loss of energy. Maybe you're not sleeping as well as you have in the past. Your mood swings start to change and you can't quite figure out why you feel so blue. So that's perimenopause. Now, menopause is the last day of your very last period. So as I mentioned, I still say I'm in menopause, but I had my last period years and years ago. So we sort of use that word quite freely. But basically, the term really means the last day of your last period. That's menopause. And it usually happens between 45 and 55. Some of you out there may say, I'm 40 and I'm starting to feel it. or I'm 60 and I still have it. So that's normally where the age things start to change. So you've passed menopause when you stopped menstruating for a year. So I am post-menopause. I still say I'm menopausal, but I'm post-menopause. So that's everything that happens after that full year. And how long those symptoms last, it really depends on our diet, our lifestyle, our genetics, and Mother Nature. Some women I talk to and they say, oh yeah, it lasts for about a year. I'm like, damn you. And others will say, you know, it's been 10 or 15 years. I was 43 when I started my menopause journey, and I'm now 57 and I'm still experiencing those symptoms. So I hope you're not suffering the length of time that I have. But as I mentioned, over the last 5-6 years, I've gained some control over it. And then I'm adding a fourth stage, unpause. That's what this is all about. This is the time when you discover the tools you needed to improve your quality of life, where we gain back control and we feel confident that we have control over this. So those are the stages of menopause, as described by both the dictionary and Teresa Carrier. All right, so why? Why do we deal with the symptoms of menopause? What's happening in the body? Well, it's all about hormones. When we get to a certain age, our estrogen level plummets. And because of those drops in estrogen, the body responds in a variety of ways. So let's talk about this. And you can start checking these off if this is happening to you. Hot flashes, night sweats, maybe urinary changes, loss of libido. And we'll be talking about sex and relationships in part 2 of this series. Vaginal dryness, pain with intercourse, hair thinness or loss. Those are some of the symptoms that comes when your body experiences a reduction in estrogen. And then leading from that, aches and pains that you don't know where they've come from. Migraines, extreme fatigue where you just can't get your energy up. And irritable bowel syndrome, where again, changes that are happening that you've never experienced before. And then comes the emotional. Because of all of those physical pieces, you start to feel a little anxious because you don't know how you're going to feel from one day to the next. Mood swings. I remember not knowing why I was feeling so blue, why people were starting to piss me off, and I never understood what's going on. I knew it was happening and I didn't feel like I can control it. Maybe feeling depressed because, you know, there's weight gain. You're not sleeping well. So that in itself, regardless of where you are in the stage of your life, can lead to depression, and it's real. Confusion, memory loss. My gosh, have you experienced this where, you know, I would go downstairs and I stand there for a second and say, okay, I know I came down here for a reason. Just can't remember what it was. So those moments of confusion and memory loss, and you're thinking, am I losing my mind here? And then again, irritability, where everybody is just annoying you. So if you're experiencing any of these, some of them, lots of them, you're not alone. I think it's really important for you to understand that you're not alone, that you're not losing your mind, that you don't lack discipline. This is your body, this is your body changing. And sometimes, as I mentioned, the body takes control on it all on its own. So here's the beauty though, gang, we can alleviate some of these factors. We can control the intensity of some of these issues. And so hopefully in the next little bit, you'll feel a little bit lighter knowing that, okay, I can do this. I can get myself through this. All right, so let's discover the tools. So we all know we're going through this. I love this picture. It describes me to a T. And I wish we can communicate, but how many of you lie in bed at night with your window open in the middle of winter? Yes, my husband's freezing, but you know what? It's not about him, it's about me. This describes it totally. And unless you go through menopause and experience those hot flashes, the intense hot flashes, And some of the other factors nobody understands unless you're somebody who's going through it. There's a book that I use, and I want to show it to you. It's called Atomic Habits, and it's all about changing your habits. And basically, that's what we're going to do today. It's by James Clear, and it's an easy read, easy to follow. It's something that really inspired me to move on. And James Clear writes, small improvements accumulate into remarkable results. So what I described to you today is not going to affect or change things instantly. It takes weeks, sometimes months, for you to feel the results of these changes. But making just slight changes in your exercise and your nutrition, what we'll focus on today, will change how you feel. So let's talk about this. Over the next, as I mentioned today, we're going to focus on exercise. We're going to focus on nutrition, how those two elements can change how you feel. All right. But other pieces that we will talk about as part of this series is managing stress. The level of stress you deal with from day to day does affect the intensity of your menopausal symptoms. So if we can learn how to alleviate stress, how to manage stress, we can feel better through menopause, developing better sleep habits, talking and communicating our issues with sex and intercourse and intimacy, and of course, lifestyle. But for our purposes, for today, exercise and nutrition will be our key. So focusing on each of these factors will help you develop lifestyle changes so that you feel like you have control. Nothing is worse than not feeling like you have control over who you are and the life that you live. All right, are you ready? Here we go. All right, so let's talk about exercise. And I'm going to relate a lot of my personal experiences with this, just so that you can understand where I'm coming from and where my study began and why it began. So as mentioned, I've been in the fitness industry for 30 plus years. I pride myself in understanding how the body works and the value of exercise. I'm a runner. I run a lot. I work out with weights. I teach many different classes. And over the past few years, I continued that, but I was experiencing weight gain. And how many of you feel this? That muffin top, that midsection where it seemed just a dump around your stomach, your low back. And I'm like, what is going on? What am I doing wrong? Of course, we always tend to blame ourselves, right? What am I doing wrong? What is it that's causing this overwhelming weight gain? I'm working out. I seem to be eating right. So what is wrong with what I'm doing? So I had to go back and I just revamped my whole workout regimen. Okay, what is it that I'm doing wrong? What is it that I need to change so that my body starts to respond better? Now, I don't know who's out there. I don't know about your personal workout regimen. Maybe you work out, maybe you never have. Maybe you're frustrated because whatever you do, it doesn't seem to work. Wherever you end up in those categories, I'm hoping again that what we talk about today, that it sort of helps. Maybe will trigger something. All right, so regular exercise, whatever you read, whomever you talk to, they'll say exercise. It'll make those symptoms less painful. And when my doctor said that to me, I said, do you know who I am? You know me. I've been exercising all my life. What do you mean exercise will help to alleviate those menopause symptoms? It's not working. So if you haven't exercised, I'm saying this is a good time. It's the perfect time to start. If you have been exercising, we're going to figure out what we can do to change how your body responds to the exercise. So what we've been doing in the past isn't going to work. Sadly, it's not. But the beauty is we can manipulate how we exercise so that it does work for us. So exercise, generally, we all know this. Studies time and time again prove exercise will improve your quality of sleep, your level of anxiety, your mood, and your fatigue. It will help. We know that. It will protect us against weight gain. It will relieve stress. It will improve your quality of life. We don't need to be told that anymore. We've heard it over many, many years. Exercise will boost your mood. It will decrease the risk of cognitive decline and the likelihood of feeling depressed. It does. So if you are out there and you are not a non-mover, start moving. So let's talk about the FIT principle. Some of you may know about this, some may not, but I'm going to explain it to you. All right, the FIT principle is what all experts use in the fitness industry. The frequency of your exercise, the intensity of your exercise, how much time you spend exercising, and the type of exercise you do. So through my personal journey, I had to go back to this principle. All right, I know what I do. I know how long I do it. I know what type of exercise I do. I know how intense I work. It's no longer working for me. So I have to go back to step number one. Okay, let's talk about frequency. I work out every day. So I can't go any more frequently. So if you work out 3 times a week, you might decide, I'm going to look at that first element of the FIT principle, and maybe I'm going to add 1 more day. You can do that. That might help. So you try that. So instead of 3 times a week, I'm going to commit to 4 days a week. See if that 1 day, that extra day, will change how you feel. Again, it's not going to change anything after a week, but maybe after 3 or 4 weeks, you start to feel better about yourself. Your moods are better. Maybe you're sleeping better. So you can manipulate the frequency of your workouts. So there's an option for you. Let's talk about, I'm going to save intensity for later because I need more time needs to be spent on that. The time. So here's the deal. 20 minutes is really all that you need. Experts say if 20 minutes a day, you work out, you give it what you got, it should work for you. But we're not sleeping well during menopause. I know there were days or nights that I would sleep maybe 2 or 3 hours a night. I would get up with night sweats. Then, of course, when I'm up, I start thinking about things. What do I got to do? Here's what's happening. I'm getting frustrated because I'm not sleeping. I got stuff to do tomorrow. And that just built on the anxiety, built on the symptoms. And again, I had no sleep. So the next day when I had to work out, I couldn't do it. I didn't have the energy. I didn't sleep. So you're asking me to work out and I'm working on 3 or 4 hours of sleep. I have no energy. So here's where the time factor becomes something you can work with. It started that this is what I started to do. You know what? I normally ran for 60 minutes. I can't do that. I'm too tired. That's real. I mean, that fatigue is real. It's not a lack of discipline or a lack of motivation. It's I'm tired. So instead of the 60 minutes, I said to myself, go out for a 20-minute run. You can dig up the energy for a 20-minute run. Now, this is me, right? So I go out for 20 minutes and be satisfied with that. What did it do? It made me feel better. Okay, at least I got outside. I got my body moving. I had fresh air, maybe some sunlight. And I felt like I accomplished something. So if you are typically a 20-minute exerciser, and like I said, experts say that's what we can use. And you say, I can't give 20 minutes. I am exhausted. Here's my advice to you. Get out for 10 minutes. Go for a walk. Get yourself out. Just getting yourself out there is going to help you. And if after 10 minutes, that's all you can give, get yourself back home or bring yourself back to your desk and say, I'm satisfied with that. But here's more likely what's going to happen. You start to exercise, you pull yourself away from your desk and you say, I'm just going to give 10 minutes because that's all I can give. 10 minutes becomes, you know what? I can do a couple more sets. Maybe it becomes 15. Oh, you know what? I'm going to stretch, catch my breath. And then it becomes 20 minutes. And then before you know it, your workout is complete. So be satisfied with whatever amount of time you can give to your energy. whatever exercise you're able to pull forward, whatever activity it is, then be satisfied with that. Be proud of that, right? I get it. I know where you're coming from. There were times where I wasn't sure I can get myself off the couch. And then what does that lead to? Everything else. Now I become depressed. Now my sleep is even worse the night after. So it just builds and builds. So again, 5-10 minutes, get yourself moving. Movement is key. Our bodies are built to move. So whatever movement you can provide will do the trick. So then that leads to type. All right, decide, hey, if you can't go for a run, if that's what you typically do, settle for a walk. Movement is important. So if you typically do a 60-minute class or a high-intensity workout, settle for something less. If that's what your energy provides for you, then that's what you'll take. We want to build. We want to build. So be patient. Know that one step gets you closer to feeling better about yourself, establishing a healthier lifestyle, right? And it also gives you control. So instead of your body controlling everything, now you have the ability to control how you feel. All right, so let's get back to intensity. So this is what I've learned. And I've worked with other clients, with other friends on this piece in particular. So I established that maybe I'll add more workouts to my week. Sometimes my energy doesn't allow for that. I'm going to give a little bit of time, whatever my body will provide, whatever my energy will allow. And then I'm going to decide on what type of activity I do based on my energy. It may be a yoga class. Hey, if I'm not feeling the energy to go out for a run, I'm going to settle in for maybe yoga, maybe some meditation. But the intensity is key. So what I learned over the years was in my youth, I can go through movement and my body would respond. So if I were to run, maybe half-assed, I would still find results. If I did my weights and went through the movement of a bicep curl or a squat, my body would find results. As I got older, I had to really pay attention and be mindful of every movement. And I know we might think, okay, now that's a lot of work. Not only do I have to physically go through my workout, now I have to think myself through it. And I'm saying, yes, you do. But that's a good thing because it actually ends up clearing your mind of all the noise that distracts you from giving everything you have to your workout. And, you know, it's a funny thing, as a personal trainer, I've realized over the years that people use exercise or think of exercise as a chore. I got to work out. I got to get this in. What I want you to think about moving forward, and especially now, that exercise or movement is a gift. It really is. And we saw right here, right on the screen, what it gives you. If somebody said to me, hey, I can improve your quality of sleep. I can make you less anxious. I can improve your mood. I can build up your energy. All you have to do is exercise. Wouldn't you take it? Right? I'm saying to you, if you do these few things, you're going to feel better. Why wouldn't we? So intensity is key. Whatever time you have, now I'm getting a little excited because this excites me. Whatever time you have, make it quality. So we're going to go quality versus quantity. So if I can only give 10 minutes, I am going to give it. Each of us, regardless of our energy level, can dig deep to provide, 10 solid minutes of good work. It provides the release of dopamines, getting you excited, clearing your mind, all those good chemicals that the body produces in movement now alerts the body and the mind that good things are coming. So be mindful of every movement. So when you're doing those squats, think about the glutes squeezing, think about the quads contracting, think about the heart pumping. I want you to come and become in tune with your body. And what I what I discovered for myself, I couldn't give 60 minutes to a workout anymore. I couldn't commit to 45 minutes anymore, but I knew I can get 20 or 30 minutes. So my weight workouts became quality workouts. And in that moment of a chest press, all I thought about is working through the chest, feeling my upper body getting stronger, and really becoming aware of what my body was feeling, the good pieces of what was happening to my body. You know what? I still have shoulders, I still have triceps, I still have biceps. So I'm going to wake them up and get them moving and get them working for myself. So whatever time you have, whatever exercise you decide to do, how often you do it, I'm going to recommend this, and I'm going to promise you it will work. Be intent. Intent in your movement, intent of your effort. If you can do that, exercise now provides you with the value and the factors that will improve through our menopause. What exercise does for your mind is actually mind-blowing. You can't tell me that when you go out for a brisk walk and you come back that you don't feel better. You know, for me, if I didn't work out, if my body didn't move, and this is what worried me about menopause, if I didn't find the energy to move, what was going to happen to my mind? What was going to happen to my attitude? Because I know that movement and exercise improves everything that I think, everything that I process. Oftentimes, you know, when I'm feeling grouchy, my husband will say to me, Teresa, go out for a run. And he knows, because when I come back, I feel better. And it's the adrenaline, it's the endorphins that just get revved up and just make things better. So more than ever, I'm going to encourage you to get your body moving. So I understand that those sleepless nights cause our energy to drop, our motivation to drop, but get yourself out even for a short time. Be mindful of your movement and you will notice a difference. Again, this is a process. It's not going to take 1 or 2 times. It's a habit that we're going to develop. I also encourage all my clients that make it part of your day. So just like brushing your teeth, this is what I have committed to. After I brush my teeth, I spend 5 minutes of meditation. 5 minutes. Everybody has 5 minutes meditation. And we're going to talk about that in stress management. Or 5 minutes a day doing crunches. Just that 5 minutes. Make it a habit. You never forget to brush your teeth. If we allow it to become part of our daily routine, then it becomes less of a chore. It's something that we slip into our busy days and that soon requires very little attention or energy. So if all you can give is 5 minutes, I'm saying include it in part of your day. All right. So that's my spiel on exercise. Again, I can talk about this much longer, but we do want to talk about nutrition, which is also a key piece. All right, deep breath. I know I'm throwing a lot at you, gang, but I'm hoping that you could maybe go back to the video recording and maybe take another listen. Over my years, 30 plus years in the fitness industry, I have probably read, tried more than, I don't know, 10, 15 diet food plans. And as I looked at this is my bookshelf, as you can see, it's behind me. And I look at the multitude of diets out there. And over the years of many clients, and they would come to me, Teresa, what do you think about this diet? What do you think about this diet? What do you think about this diet? And I say to them, first off, is there scientific proof? Now, any diet can find scientific proof anywhere. Does it make sense? If you read it and say, okay, this doesn't make sense to me, then likely you will not follow it. Likely it will not work for your lifestyle. If you look at it and say, can I maintain it long-term? If your answer is no, then not the food plan for you. All right, so there's many of them out there that restrict us. Don't have this, don't have this, don't have this. And my background is Italian. And if any of you are out there and have Italian mothers where a plate of pasta is certainly a staple. If a diet says to me, you can't have pasta, you can't have carbohydrates, I'm saying I can't do it. I know that. I know that about myself. Why would I set myself up for failure in knowing that I'm not going to give up Sunday dinners where I have the kids over for pasta? I'm not going to do that. Now, everybody is different. So let's make that clear. What works for somebody may not work for somebody else. So let's make that clear. Everybody's individual, bodies are different. What works for one may not work for another. But there's very few people that I know over the course of my career that have tried a diet that have had continued success from it. Very few. I always say, let's go back to the basics. We know fruits and vegetables are important. We know protein is important. We know that carbohydrates are important. So I know there's been, over the last few years, a big kick for low carb, high protein diets. So oftentimes we take nuggets of different diets and say, we zone in on them. Well, they say carbs are bad. Well, having lots of carbs, yes, they are bad. Simple carbohydrates, yes, bad. Do we have to remove all carbohydrates from our body? No. Do they provide fuel and value to how our body functions? It does. So why would I remove it? All right. So again, when you're talking, and especially now because we're gaining weight, so we're coming very, we're starting to panic. Okay, what do I do to lose weight? We start to reach out for these diets. Now, let's make it clear. The diet industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Everybody we know has created a diet. So be very careful on what you choose. My advice to you is let's keep it simple. Let's get back to the basics. So that's my spiel on diets. You might have some comments, and again, feel free to ask questions. I'm not a dietitian, by the way. I have a background in nutrition, so I can answer some questions, some I may not be able to help you out with. All right, let's talk about surviving menopause through diet. All right, there is help. There's help on the way, and it doesn't have to be complicated. So we do need to consume calcium and vitamin D, important for bone loss. And as we get older, there is a risk of that. Achieving and maintaining a healthy weight alleviates menopause symptoms. Well, you'll say, yeah, that's fine and dandy, Teresa, but how am I going to establish a healthy weight? Right now I'm gaining weight. So yeah, that's easy to say. But again, moving forward, you'll find out some tips. Fruits and vegetables do help keep our bones healthy and help prevent weight gain. I was just told recently, as I'm looking at time thinking, I hope I can get through all this. One of my clients said her doctor said bananas were bad for her and not to eat them. They have a high glycemic index. Yes, they do. So if you are concerned about that, if your doctor says you have to be concerned about that, then absolutely pay attention. But are bananas bad for the average person? I am saying no. I have a banana every day. I need it. I need it for my potassium. I sweat a lot. I have to make sure that I'm not experiencing any cramps. So be very careful, especially now with the internet. I mean, things are being sent to you and pop up. Don't eat this. Don't eat that. Don't eat that. So be very cautious before we start eliminating things from our diet. Certain foods and drinks can trigger hot flashes, night sweats, and mood swings. The common ones: alcohol, caffeine, sugar, and spicy foods. So if you typically consume a lot of those four food and drinks, you might want to start to experiment. This week, I'm not going to have a glass of wine every night at dinner. See how that affects the factors of menopause. I have a sister who says, you take away my wine, that's how I'm dealing with menopause. I need my glass of wine. If you consume a lot of caffeine throughout the day, that will cause issues. Sugar is big and of course, spicy foods. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that as we move on. Irregular eating may cause symptoms of menopause to worsen. Skipping meals may also hinder weight loss. And I know, again, we're starting to grasp at straws because we're gaining weight and we're trying anything. We start to skip meals because maybe that will help reduce calories, as it will, and in the end, solve my weight issues. I'm going to encourage you not to skip meals. Our body needs that fuel. Oftentimes, if we skip meals, down the road, later in the day, we're hungry and we start to grab perhaps not the best choice of food intake. So I stand by the multiple snacking throughout the day, eating my 3 meals throughout the day, consuming some nutritional little snacks throughout the day. And again, we're going to talk about this a little bit more in detail next slide. So I really encourage you not to skip meals. The body requires fuel to function. The mind requires food to function. So if you are experiencing foggy cognitive issues, skipping meals isn't going to resolve that. So we have to keep that in mind. Diets high in processed food and refined carbohydrates are associated with high risks of depression and poor bone health. So when we talk about carbs and those carb-free diets, here's what we're really talking about. Refined carbs as processed muffins, white bread, those are refined carbohydrates that really cause havoc on the body. So am I saying don't have a muffin, don't have bread? No, but we want to make sure that whatever we consume in those items, that they provide some value for us. So really careful. I think, in my opinion, our biggest issues in our society is processed food. It's convenient, it's available, it's yummy. If we can start to limit how much processed food we consume, your symptoms for menopause will be lighter. So take a look at your diet. Food rich in phytoestrogens. Now, this might be a new word. I know over the years that I did this study, this is what I discovered is phytoestrogens may reduce intensity and frequency of hot flashes. Example of phytoestrogens are flax seeds, beans, and again, I'm going to talk about this in detail very shortly. Phytoestrogens actually mimic the same influences as estrogen. So if our estrogen levels are plummeting and it's causing our menopausal symptoms, if we can find food intake that rises those estrogen factors, then it will make sense to reduce the intensity of your symptoms. Drinking water. Oh gosh, we know this. If we haven't heard this 1,000 times, we haven't heard it once. Don't stop drinking water. The body, it's certainly going to decrease the internal temperature, and it'll provide you with feeling full, all the good factors about water. Feeling full, improves your attention. So not only the body needs water, but the mind needs water as well. Regular intake of high quality protein. So those high protein diets, I don't disagree that we need more protein. It helps prevent loss of lean muscle, and it helps to regulate mood and sleep. Great stuff, protein, you gotta love it. Natural supplements, start doing some investigating. Some of them do help treat menopause symptoms, but please consult with your doctor if you're on prescribed medication, because some of those supplements will change the effect of your prescribed medication. So please make sure that happens. All right, so let's talk about these phytoestrogens. Phytoestrogens are a plant-based food that mimic estrogen in the body. How great is that? That we can actually allow the body to think that the estrogen is still there. They have been known to help combat symptoms and conditions caused by estrogen deficiency. Isn't that wonderful? And if this is your first time hearing about phytoestrogens, isn't that great news that in your diet, you can change how your body responds to menopause? Okay, so these are some of the phytoestrogens that you can incorporate: soybeans, flax seeds, sesame seeds, pumpkin seeds, berries, oats, lentils, apples, carrots, rice, beans. So I'm not asking you to find these odd food sources. These are food sources we can incorporate in our diet easily. So for example, this is what I have for breakfast. I have a bowl of oatmeal. So there's my oats. I throw some raspberries on it. So there's my berries. And I throw some pumpkin seeds on it. And maybe a drizzle of some pure honey. That's a solid breakfast. That everything I'm putting in my body will use. And here's the bonus. They all contain phytoestrogens. So that one change in my diet can help to alleviate the intensity of those symptoms that we feel through menopause. Isn't that great? Having those carrots, having some rice, having apples. Hey, how long have we heard in our youth, an apple a day keeps the doctor away? Man, the value in an apple. So simple. So instead of struggling to find this diet that's going to, solve all our weight gain issues and our energy level issues, they're right there in front of us. We don't have to make ourselves crazy or deprive ourselves of a food that we enjoy. People ask often, Teresa, what do you eat? And what is good for the body. What diet are you on? And I say to them, what, I go to the Canada Food Guide. I'm not going to deprive my body of what it needs and what I enjoy. And I say to them, if 80% of the time, gang, we're eating well, and 20% of the time, we slip up from time to time, we enjoy that piece of cake, or, we have a special event where we're going to be eating differently, that's okay. So we make ourselves crazy. And, the industry doesn't help. Social media doesn't help by throwing these easy fixes here. In 1 week, you will lose 7 to 10 pounds. I'm saying, hey, hang on, hold the phones. It doesn't work that way. Your body doesn't work that way, but it certainly is appealing, especially when we're feeling depressed about our weight gain. It is a lifestyle change, but it doesn't have to be so challenging. We have complicated things, and the diet industry has not helped us. The social media has not helped us. I'm here today to provide some resolve, some comfort in knowing we don't have to make ourselves crazy. It's simple. Keep it simple. So phytoestrogens, let's get some in our diets. So here's a couple things that I recommend in our program. So we do a MenoUNPause program, as I mentioned. It's 8 weeks long, so that we can establish these lifestyle changes. But for now, for our purposes, here's what I'm going to challenge you to do. First, exercise, get your body moving. Whatever time, whatever type, whatever you can give, get your body moving. It's going to do wonders for your body. It'll rev up the metabolism. It'll clear your mind. Okay, so we know that. Diet, what should I do with my diet? I'm going to encourage you to start a food journal. It's worth the 5 minutes it takes at the end of the day or during the day. Start to write down what you eat. And included with that, track how you feel as far as your menopausal symptoms. How did I sleep? How were my mood swings? What were my hot flashes like? And start to identify your trigger foods. Now, everyone's trigger foods will be different. Mine was chocolate. I loved, before, in the last few years, I loved my little bowl of chocolate covered jujubes, and it never affected me. And then it started to affect me, my hot flashes. And I did that for years and years. I know I shouldn't be telling you this as a fitness professional, but that was my little treat. And I realized that my hot flashes were all consuming. And I'm looking at my diet and I said, I'm thinking to myself, I haven't changed my diet. Why are my hot flashes so extreme? And then I realized, oh my goodness, that sugar, that chocolate was my demise. So I started to eliminate it. And then I realized my hot flashes weren't so extreme. For my sister, it was her alcohol, it was her wine. So she started to eliminate that. And her menopausal symptoms started to minimize. Now, I do love my chocolate. So now I consume a very small dish. I have this little bowl, and I have my semi-sweet chocolate, and it seems to be okay. So now I can still enjoy that without suffering because of it. So I want you to start to food journal and start to identify what your trigger foods are and start to incorporate a little phytoestrogen in your diet and see what happens. So 2 factors that we can control and maybe make our life during menopause manageable: your exercise and your nutrition. So I'm going to stop you there to allow for some Q&A. I see some chat on some comments on chat. So Heather, if you want to ask the question, and I'll try to answer them as best I can, and certainly provide any input. We have a few more minutes left, and hopefully I can help you out.
Absolutely. I have been looking through the questions just so everyone knows we are going to do another part to this. So Teresa will be also then in the new year talking about some of the other things that were briefly spoken about. So stay tuned for that information. So one of the questions that came through when you were talking about rice. So
Yes.
This person loves rice. So do all rice options contain the phytoestrogens? Is there some that are better than others?
Anytime you can get more pure, the better. So a white rice doesn't contain the phytoestrogens. So unfortunately, those, the 1 minute rice won't do. Long grain rices will do. So yeah, I'm a rice lover as well. So yes, long grain rice is certainly what we want to focus on. So anything that's processed or not pure is certainly doesn't qualify.
Another question that came in earlier was, is there a way that you know that you can gauge whether you are in perimenopause or menopause if you've had a hysterectomy, or there's another medical reason why you actually don't menstruate?
I think a conversation with your doc is key to find out. Now, with the Hester, I would chat with the doctor. Now, I'm thinking about those that I spoke with and I did the study with, and I have to say that I don't know of anyone who had the I can't even say it.
Hysterectomy.
And I had nobody in the study that that shared that information, but I will get back to you on that, Heather.
Sure.
And I will investigate and find out. I would assume some of the same symptoms would apply, but with the drop of the changes in the hormones, yeah, maybe a little different. I'll get back to you on that. That's a great question. Thank you.
Yeah, and I can just tell from my own personal experience. I didn't have a hysterectomy, but I don't actually get a period. And it's not from menopause. So it's from different, whatever. I went to a naturopath. So I'm echoing what you say, Teresa, is either go see your doctor or go to a naturopath. There are some things that they can do to help you. And I think as well, like tracking, you're right. Like sometimes it's just based on symptoms that they have to identify. We're going back to the rice question, basmati and jasmine rice.
Yes.
Yes, okay. Perfect. Someone is. I feel like I only got half of your sentence there. Yeah, I mean, I think everyone is different for sure. I'm just quickly peeking through because there's the Q&A section and then there's the chat box. I'm just making sure. Does anyone? Oh, here we go. So there is a person here who said she had a hysterectomy at 40. She did keep one of her ovaries, but she didn't start having symptoms until 50. Can you be tested to know what stage of menopause you're at?
I know there is a test, again, through the doc that you can ask for, request. So yes, I know there is one. I have never had done. Just getting back to the hysterectomy as well. If anybody's out there, I'm a cancer survivor, and that, even though there's no evidence of it, and I spoke with my doctor, I found that I went into menopause really quickly. So right after my treatment was done, the periods changed, and I was soon into menopause. So I don't know if anybody's out there that has experienced the same thing. Again, I checked with my doctor and I said, was that a result of it? And he said, there's no really any indication of that. But I know I've talked to other cancer survivors who had mentioned the same thing. So it was really interesting to me that there's no scientific proof of it, but based on the many women I spoke with, that it seemed to be the case.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're at a time when we really have to learn to advocate for ourselves. And so a lot of times you will go to a doctor or you'll go to a specialist, and I think if you don't get the answers you're looking for, or the answers they're providing don't help, it's time to advocate and really push. Any ideas on something to stop or slow hair loss? So I'm assuming that is a sign of menopause as well, when you start.
It absolutely is. And more so, Heather, based on, again, the hundreds of women that I spoke with in the study, the hair loss was certainly the drop in estrogen, but also the high levels of stress. So if you can, I don't know of a product that, makes your hair more full or stops that, but if we can help to alleviate stress, that is key. And again, as you mentioned, Heather, in part 2, when we talk about stress management, that is a key factor. One of the results of high stress level is loss of hair. So if you are feeling like you are anxious, then I would certainly encourage you to, again, talk with your doc, but, seek out meditation, yoga, remove some of those stress factors that can cause for increased hair loss. So just that seems to be the really the prime factor in the hair loss.
It looks like we have one more question here. So if you know, and you might not know the answer to this, the Mirena IUD, would that lessen some of the symptoms aside from it? That doesn't have estrogen, I believe, though. It's not an estrogen based.
Yeah, I'm not sure, Heather.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll look into.
Yes. Yeah.
And then she's also the same person has commented, and I believe this is on the hair thinning, is a pH balance shampoo is really seemed to be helping her. So which includes a herbal essence botanical, it says here, but yeah, like a pH balancing shampoo may help with the thinning.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I'll include that as well in case that question comes up again. There's a lot of products out there.
So I think I found that a lot of protein helps with hair drop. So what people are just sharing some different things.
There's also supplements too, and I'll be sure to include that in our next conversation. There's a lot of supplements, natural supplements that do help out as well.
Yeah. So I mean, as we can tell, there's a lot of interest in this topic, and all of the different things that we can do to sort of make ourselves feel better, and recognizing that, I think, as you were saying, it's not necessarily a one fix for all. So we do have to sort of take some time and do some research on our own selves as well. But they're really, really great things that you've shared with us today. I'm absolutely going to be starting some of these things. you know, changing some of the ways that I do things as well. So thank you so much, Teresa.
Oh, you're welcome.
I really enjoyed this. I know that everyone here has, and we look forward to part 2.
So do I. And again, like you said, Heather, just to know that we do have the ability to change our lifestyle so that we can enjoy this time of our life when we actually should be enjoying things. So don't give up, experiment, see what works for you. And I'm sure there's something out there that will help you out. So please keep me in the loop. Let me know if you start trying some of these lifestyle changes. Let me know. I would love to hear from you.
Perfect. You're getting some thank yous. Have a great day, everyone. A lovely afternoon. Maybe get out for your 10-minute walk in this beautiful sunshine if you're in London.
Dress warm.
Yeah, that's
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Heather.
Thank you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.